These massive homes are inhabited by the world's richest people, from secluded villas in paradise to huge buildings inhabited by just one person. Let's take a look at 15 of the most stunning mega mansions in the world. Number 15. 1819 Kensington Gardens. You can see 1819 Kensington Gardens on the aptly named Billionaires Row in London. Kensington Gardens is just one of the homes of Lakshmi Mittal, an Indian business magnate and chairman and CEO of the world's largest steelmaking company, ArcelorMittal. And with credentials like that, you can rest assured that Mr. Mittal is a billionaire. Built in the 1800s, this mega mansion boasts around 55,000 square feet of space and was once two separate abodes that emerged into one mega mansion. The first thing you'll notice when you pull up to this absurd home are the 20 parking spaces for all his fancy rides. The interior of the mansion has 12 bedrooms, an indoor pool, and even a Turkish bath for when he comes home from a hard day of cashing checks and counting all the zeros in his bank account. But he wasn't the first rich person to own the property. Some of his predecessors include the Rothschilds, David Khalili, and Bernie Ecclestone. And when Mittal needs to ask his neighbors for a cup of sugar, he's knocking on the doors of none other than Prince William and Kate Middleton. And how much does it cost to have royal neighbors? Just $128 million. Number 14. Villa Leopolda. The Villa La Leopolda sits right on the ocean in France, and it's owned by Lily Safra, widow of the banker Edmond Safra. And while she must miss her husband terribly, she was left with a pretty penny to take care of herself with. The Villa La Leopolda sits on top of 50 acres of the Alpes Maritimes department of the Côte d'Azur and was even the setting for Alfred Hitchcock's film To Catch a Thief in 1955. So what's so special about this French villa other than the views, the acreage, and the fact that it's on top of a mountain? Well, the property is home to a commercial greenhouse, an outdoor kitchen, the obvious pool, and even a helipad, so Miss Safra can come and go as she pleases from just about anywhere in the world. But if the name Leopolda sounds a bit familiar, that's because it's named after the same Leopold II of Belgium, who owned the next entry on our list, Villa Les Cèdres. The king had a lot of money, and he knew how to spend it, but he gifted this French villa to his mistress in the early 20th century. The home has since been redesigned and is now worth an estimated $750 million. Number 13. Villa Les Cèdres. Staying in France, we have the Villa Les Cèdres. This palatial home was originally built in 1830 and was bought in 1904 by King Leopold II of Belgium. Flip through the calendar about 200 years into the future, and the house went up for sale in 2017 by the Campari Group, the home's current owner. And they're asking for a king's ransom as well. The Villa Les Cèdres sits on a humble 35 acres of land, most of which are covered in very well-manicured gardens and cedar trees where the villa earns its name. The home itself is an 18,000 square foot estate with 14 bedrooms. Why would anyone need a home with 14 bedrooms is anyone's guess. Maybe they enjoy sleeping in a new room each night. Well, you'll never get bored in a place like this. But moving about the villa, that looks more like a palace, and you'll notice all sorts of decadent interiors, like the numerous crystal chandeliers, intricately carved woodwork, and all sorts of 19th century oil paintings. And for when they get bored, the owner can head outside to the stables and go for a trot with the horses around the property, and maybe even stop by at their Olympic-sized swimming pool. So how much was the Campari Group asking for this place? Only $410 million. Number 12. Wittenhurst Mansion. The Wittenhurst Mansion in London, England is a Georgian revival built back in the early 20th century, and since that time it's been home to some pretty prominent and wealthy figures. It's even been used as the filming location for big-time movies like The Lost Prince, Tipping the Velvet, and Fame Academy. Needless to say, the Wittenhurst Mansion has a literal rich history, and so it should make sense that it's one of the most expensive homes in the world. But it's also old and was subject to some natural wear and tear over the years, so it underwent a substantial refurbishment in 2008, which only adds to the value further. This London mansion is the second largest residence in London, with 90,000 square feet of space to explore and a grand total of 65 rooms, 25 of which are bedrooms, meaning the owner can sleep in a new room each night for just about a month to keep all things interesting. One of the largest and most extravagant rooms here is the ballroom that's 70 feet long with 20-foot ceilings. The Wittenhurst Mansion also boasts a massive dining room, gallery room, and a billiard room when you want to shoot some pool at the end of a long day. And it all only costs $450 million. Number 11. Versace Mansion. It may not be what it once was, but the Versace Mansion in Miami Beach, Florida has thousands of stories to tell within its walls. When Gianni Versace purchased the 60-year-old villa, it needed some serious updates, and of course, the world-famous designer was up to the task. He took what was originally a 24-apartment villa and converted it into a single home, complete with 10 bedrooms and bathrooms, 2 kitchens, a bar, a library, and 3 living rooms. And because that wasn't enough for him, the Italian fashion mogul had a 6,100 square foot addition built that included a gym and a steam room and a shower big enough for 8 people at a time. How much did all this run him? A whopping $32 million. And today's millionaires and billionaires can buy a brand new mansion for that kind of cash. But Gianni Versace knew he was meant to own this historic villa. When you made your way past the villa's famous bedrooms like the Venus and Medallion suites, there was even an observatory on the 3rd floor. The room's dome ceiling was painted a beautiful deep blue and dotted with gold stars, letting his guests feel like they were one with the cosmos. This observatory has become so famous that allegedly even Drake took advantage of the acoustics, recording music inside. Number 10. The One Bel Air. Yo homes to Bel Air. Spanning almost 100,000 square feet, the house at One Bel Air isn't just one of the most expensive in the world, but it's also one of the largest in the United States. This amazingly lavish property was developed by Niall Niami and designed by architect Paul McLean. The entire endeavor took about 10 years to complete. This home for the rich and famous has 26-foot-high ceilings, 21 bedrooms, 5 swimming pools, 42 bathrooms, and a 30-car garage gallery, and puts the homes of even the richest neighbors to shame. And of course, the house at One Bel Air sits on top of a hill with panoramic views of downtown LA, the San Gabriel Mountains, and the Pacific Ocean, so the owner can just about get every type of view depending on their mood. And of course, there's the price tag, and then you can be sure a place like this isn't going to come cheap. So just how much does the One Bel Air cost? Try a whopping $340 million. Number 9. Mesa Vista Ranch. The Mesa Vista Ranch in the Texas Panhandle is absolutely stunning. Ridiculously big, sure, but still stunning. The property of the late American oil mogul T. Boone Pickens, the Mesa Vista Ranch sits on about 65,000 acres of land that function a lot more like its own small town. Boone lived on his ranch for close to 50 years, and during that time built all sorts of amenities, both in and around the main house. So for starters, there are the 20 man-made streams and lakes that he was able to enjoy as part of his conservation efforts towards the area that make for an amazing southern oasis. And seeing as how there's so much property, you can bet there are multiple abodes to choose from. There's the main multi-structured lodge compound that essentially acts as an on-site hotel for guests. And then if you hop in the golf cart and drive 6 miles southwest, you'll find the lake house with close to 12,000 square feet of space. The entire compound is absolutely huge, and it's amazing to think that it's really just one man's house. The Mesa Vista Ranch also keeps things pretty interesting with its 11,000 square foot dog kennel, a chapel, golf fairways and greens, and then a private airport and even a pub. Not a bad deal considering that the entire estate only cost $250 million. Number 8. 4 Fairfield Pond. Ira Rennert, CEO and chairman of Renco Group and all-around billionaire, is the lucky owner of 4 Fairfield Pond, an Italian Renaissance-style home in the Hamptons. There's no denying that the Hamptons is one of the wealthiest and most extravagant locales in the United States, but 4 Fairfield Pond really puts the neighbors to shame. The palatial home sits on 63 acres of beachfront property that Rennert can enjoy all to himself. The mansion itself is an insane 62,000 square feet with 29 bedrooms, 39 bathrooms, and what mansion would be complete without a 91-foot dining room? Really sounds like more of a banquet hall, if anything. Thankfully for his guests, Ira Rennert knows how to throw a party, and we're sure that any children lucky enough to step foot inside this Hamptons home love a good game of never-ending hide-and-seek. But when people want to have a little fun when they visit, there's the bowling alley, squash courts, tennis courts, 3 swimming pools, a basketball court, and the icing on the cake, the garage that can hold up to 100 cars. And all of this can be yours for the price of $248 million. Number 7. Mar-a-Lago. What happens when you have a mega mansion that's so big that it becomes a members-only club? Well, then you've got Mar-a-Lago. The estate was built in 1927 by Marjorie Merriweather Post and was purchased by Donald Trump in 1985 for just $10 million. And depending on who you are, you could say that that's a steal. And while that certainly is a lot of money, the man managed to add some value to this property over the next 30 years or so. While he did convert it into a private club, it has since become his private residence again since leaving the White House. All in all, this house is pretty crazy and dripping with luxury. There are gold-plated sinks, antique furniture, and even a 20,000 square foot ballroom that alone cost him $7 million. It looks like a palace fit for a king and their court, but don't forget about his private golf club where he goes to hit the green, blow off some steam, and maybe even close a few deals. It's so big it has a private helipad so the former president can avoid the area's beach traffic. Today, this Palm Beach home has an estimated value of about $160 million. Number 6. Spelling Manor. While he may not be a household name these days, there was a moment in time when Aaron Spelling was one of the biggest names in entertainment. Spelling produced a multitude of television shows that some viewers may remember, from The Love Boat and Dynasty to Beverly Hills 90210 and Seventh Heaven. And this meant that the man had a lot of cash to spend, so he went ahead and purchased what became known as the Spelling Manor in the Holmby Hills of California. Once the biggest house in Los Angeles, the Spelling Manor provided the late TV mogul with 56,000 square feet of space on 6 acres of land, with 14 bedrooms and almost twice as many bathrooms. But bed and baths aside, the manor had a total of 123 rooms, many of which the residents likely forgot about when they were living there. Spelling Manor has all sorts of fun things like a gym, a wine cellar, and a separate tasting room, a full beauty salon, a massage room, a tanning room, and much, much more. Spelling was known for both his extravagance and flair for the dramatic, but man was in show business after all, so he had the front entrance of his estate modeled after the O'Hara plantation from the classic Gone with the Wind. And the entire estate only cost about $160 million. It's a pretty good deal. Number 5. 924 Bel Air Road. Back to Bel Air. Next on our list is a modest home situated in the Bel Air neighborhood of Los Angeles. 924 Bel Air Road looks more like a compound than it does someone's home. But lo and behold, this is where one lucky resident gets to hang their hat and put their feet up at the end of a hard day's work. This Bel Air mansion has just 2 primary or master bedrooms in the 38,000 square foot abode. Take a look around you and you'll find 10 guest suites, 3 kitchens, 5 bars, a massage room, a wellness spa, and 21 different bathrooms, just in case you like a little privacy for when you hit the head. And no mansion's going to be complete without the infinity pool, 4-lane bowling alley, outdoor theater, 2 wine cellars, and a helipad on the roof. There's so much going on in here that there's really no reason to ever leave. But perhaps the best and most insane part of this Bel Air mansion is the candy wall. Because when you're this loaded, life is just oh so sweet. And just how much is 924 Bel Air listed for? A cool $150 million. Number 4. Buckingham Palace. Okay, it's a palace, but it's more important to remember that Buckingham Palace is still someone's home. The Queen of England's home has an incredible 775 rooms, with 52 royal and guest bedrooms, 78 bathrooms, and 92 offices. And it's so big that, for all she knows, people have been living there for decades without anyone even noticing. I mean, how hard would that actually be? And while the Crown owns plenty of castles and estates throughout the UK, they have owned Buckingham Palace for almost 200 years. Just think of all the history and stories embedded into these walls. And while Buckingham Palace isn't going to be put up for sale probably ever, you can most definitely put a price tag on it. In all, the estimated value of this palatial royal residence is about $3 billion. Number 3. The Jack Warner Estate. Ever heard of Warner Brothers? You know, the studio that's produced what feels like every movie ever? Well, their former president, Jack Warner, built this mansion back in 1936 with all the money he had earned during the golden age of showbiz, and it's since been owned by plenty of famous people. Before it was bought by none other than Jeffrey Bezos in 2020, the Jack Warner Estate in Beverly Hills, California was the home of former record executive David Geffen. Geffen bought the house for just $47 million, but the listing for the house in 2021 is enough to make the former owner cry with regret. That's because the Georgian-style mansion went for almost 3 times as much, $165 million. The Warner estate has certainly seen its fair share of millionaires and billionaires, so who knows who the next owner will be once Jeff Bezos ditches all of us here and moves on to space. Number 2. Antilia Tower. Antilia Tower in Mumbai, India, is one of the most extravagant and expensive places to live in the world, and one of the coolest. The Antilia Tower was designed in part with Chicago architecture firm Perkins & Will and the Santa Monica hospitality design firm Hirsch Bedner Associates, all for one man, Indian businessman and billionaire Mukesh Ambani. And unlike your typical mega mansion, Antilia Tower builds not just out, but up, with 400,000 square feet of space and 27 stories that Ambani doesn't have to share with anybody. And of course, the massive home has plenty of cool stuff inside, like a 50-seat movie theater, 6 floors devoted to just car storage, a car service station, a temple, and 9 high-speed elevators to get you from top to bottom and back again in a flash. And don't forget about the snow room, a room that sprays snowflakes from its walls. That's absolutely awesome. And to have his own private winter wonderland in India, Ambani spent between $1 and $2 billion. Number 1. Istana Nurul Iman Palace. The final entry on our list does the impossible by putting all of the other mega mansions to shame. Located in Brunei, the Istana Nurul Iman Palace is the official residence of the Sultan of Brunei and provides him with his much-needed 2.1 million square feet of space. Do you think that's a little much? Well, the Sultan and his family probably don't. And I guess you wouldn't either if you got to live there too. The Istana Nurul Iman Palace has 1,788 rooms and 257 bathrooms, a mosque that fits up to 1,500 people. Then there's the 200 pony stables, 5 swimming pools, and 110-car garage. The place's name translates to Palace of Faith Light and was designed back in 1984 and cost almost $1.5 billion to build. And the value has surely gone up since then. When you look at the palace's exterior, you'll notice the gold domes and vaulted roofs, which combine the local Malay and Islamic architectures to create the most extravagant home in the world. But don't worry, the Sultan and his family aren't the only people here. The palace may serve as their private home, but it's also where foreign dignitaries stay when they come to visit. The palace is also open to visitors 3 days a year at the end of Ramadan, where guests are served food to break their fast. Watch our binge-watching playlist if you'd like to watch all of our most popular top 15 videos. Grab a drink, grab a snack, and get ready to binge.